I look forward to your talk.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Last year I met Thomas from ownCloud, and we were thinking about using ownCloud and Type 3, and what we want to talk about today is how ownCloud is handling big data, and because of course when we started to think about this workshop, I was like, okay, where does big data start for me? And for me it's like, okay, when I have a file with 100 MB, I normally not use it on websites, and ownCloud is laughing about that, because of course they are using much bigger sites, and that's something we want to talk about today, and our ideas that we can see where we can learn from each other and where we can work together.
Okay, thank you. So my name is Thomas Müller. I'm working with ownCloud GmbH. I'm part of the ownCloud community and developing there since 2011. So I was part of all the versions which we brought out there. So I'd like to say thank you to Fabian to attend to this conference here. And let's get started.
Okay, for those who not know me and ask why I'm here, I'm normally doing marketing and sales for .de, and aside of that I'm leader of the Type 3 marketing and design team, and reason to that I was very interested in this communication between the communities and between the products. What we want to talk about today is, of course, for those who not know, maybe just to give a quick overview about ownCloud. And after that, Thomas will give us an insight about the question, what is ownCloud really doing to universal file access, so that it's not just storing their data, but can use other data and so on. I want to give you a short insight about the question, okay, what we can do together, what can Type 3 and ownCloud do together, and after that Thomas will explain us how they handle those big data sizes with file chunking and so on, and we will get a short insight to the ownCloud marketplace. Maybe those of you who were yesterday at the Type 3 marketplace workshop will get here some information how they handle it.
Okay, thank you. So, what is ownCloud? For those of you who don't know it, we are basically in the file sync and share business. So basically our task is to make sure that you can store your files, share them, synchronize them with your desktop, have access with your mobile devices, and not rely on the big file synchronization and sharing providers like Dropbox or Google Drive. This is especially interesting if you are aware of or interested in where your data is actually stored and living. So, for example, one of the biggest installations we have is at the CERN in Genf. You know, those guys who are running this big colliders where they throw atoms and particles at each other and play around with all this atomic stuff. They are producing really a big amount of data. So they're storing petabytes, even in their own written file system, which is crazy as well, from my point of view, but well. Their need with respect to privacy is they don't want to have all this research information to be living in Dropbox on the other side of the ocean. They want to have it locally where they know who is accessing it. In addition, they also made some calculations on, okay, so let's see if every researcher is putting his information he wants to share with other researchers onto Dropbox. They made a calculation on how the traffic on the network will be between CERN and Dropbox and the data centers in the United States, and they said like, well, this is maybe not what we want to have, that stuff is traveling half around the globe and then back because they're sitting right next to each other. So just one example. So, which button? Yeah, no. Okay. So, what is ownCloud for me personally? So, this is a picture of this year's ownCloud Contributors Conference in Berlin. So, ownCloud is an open source project. We are doing almost anything in public. There are a few, let's say, enterprise-specific features which the company is selling, and there the source code is not publicly available, but anything what a regular business or a regular private person needs, you get it for free. We're all on GitHub. So, yeah, as I said, it's an open source project since 2010. We are on the server side, we're using PHP, so we have some familiar technologies with the Tuple 3 community. Okay, so this is a marketing slide to talk a little bit more in detail about what we call the DropBox problem. So, especially if you want to share your data, which is within your local, let's say, company network, to get it access at home, to share with somebody, maybe a partner who we're working with. The data is at some point in time leaving the company network, what you don't want to have. And usually in the past, and still up to date, the most used service for this purpose is Dropbox. And I think this picture describes pretty well. Yeah, as soon as you're leaving, the data is leaving your network, your service, well, you lost control over it, basically. And this is then what ownCloud is trying to help out with. It's basically, it's a private cloud. It's an on-premises installation of your cloud storage. So, and as you see, you have then the full access, the full control on where your data is living, who has access to it, and anything related to this topic. Okay, so now the idea, as Fabian said, was to talk about, okay, what are we doing with all these files, all this big data? And there's a concept or a mechanism which we call the universal file access. The universal file access for us is, on the one hand, as shown in the slides before, the way that we provide different access to the information. So we have a desktop synchronization client, we have mobile access. There are public APIs for integrating with other services. So for example, any files which are living within the ownCloud server are accessible via WebDAV, which is maybe the only standard in terms of open standards for accessing files and interacting with files. No. So universal file access for us also is a concept which is living in the background, in the back end of the system. So we are not only storing the files on the server locally, which would be maybe the easiest way to handle. We also have the capabilities to hook up additional network services or storage services. So, for example, you could hook in an FTP server where you say, okay, my web page is accessible via FTP and I can drop anything within ownCloud and it will be uploaded to the web server via FTP. One idea. We can also hook up Windows Server shares. So usually in companies you have your Windows Server structure already. Data is living there, you can access it. And with all the structure on top, we make it accessible on your mobile devices. We synchronize it to the desktop when needed. Of course, there are also mechanisms where we say, okay, we store the data on some object store. So anything which is accessible via S3 protocol or the Swift protocol, we can store data there. So overall, it's a very flexible solution. And this is also where, to some extent, where the big installations that we support get the benefit out of our project. Yeah. So, last, it's good now that everybody of us has its own private cloud. So I have mine, maybe Fabian has one, my company has one, .de has one, so there are, I don't know, as said, CERN has an installation. It's now good that we all have our data private and protected and isolated. But what if you want to then still collaborate on that? So, and as I said before, the main protocol or the main API for accessing the file system is WebDAV. We also can, with this universal file access, we can also mount other WebDAV servers. So, and this then is closing the loop, because we can actually mount the server installations with each other, which will bring then us to what we call the Federated Cloud system. So it's getting then a big network of connected private cloud instances. Okay, so this was a rough overview on what we do, and later on I will talk about the technical details a bit, but your turn now.
Thank you. Yeah, ownCloud in production. I want to talk about a bit from the other side, because I'm mostly user of ownCloud, and we use it in projects and of course in the basic case. Yeah, Dropbox is dead. When Dropbox started, I was a huge fan of it, and like you see here, the fan status turns red sometimes. For various reasons, but the interesting thing is that we get the information that there are a lot more people going to drop off from Dropbox, because even those organizations that are not that technic driven get to know that it's a huge thing to have your data wherever, in Germany or directly at your place and so on. So, what does we do with ownCloud? For example, I can say that this federated cloud system is really working nice. For example, we work with Made In, what is our brand agency, and we have those huge pictures, and a lot of them, like 40 gigabytes of pictures to market something, and with that it's very nice that Made In has an ownCloud and we have an ownCloud, and we can just get them together. But the question for you might be, okay, that's nice and it's a nice product, but I don't need it, or I already have it, but what can I really do in my project, and what can I do for our clients with that? And the interesting thing about that is that we started to think by the needs of our clients. When we had a client that came to us and say, okay, we have big data and we have to get this data from us to the client, or through our support or whatever, and what we can really do with that. And the things we do with that is, for example, support, so we can put here data up to that ownCloud. At this point, the problem was that the support log is around 2 gigabytes, and it's really not nice to put up 2 gigabytes into the file admin somehow and get it from there again. So we directly put it to the ownCloud, and then you can get it from the ownCloud back there. Or just to share software. If we have software, or in that case our client has software to put it, then you can put it to the ownCloud, give it directly to your client, and you can even put it from there directly to the Typo 3. So we can put ownCloud data directly onto the Typo 3 website, and then people can get it from there, and when they click it there, they will get it from the ownCloud. And that's actually the case where it's most important for me and for us and for the clients. It's the question of having one single source of truth. You all know having data in different places, and probably the same data will never work out, not a long time. When you start having a PDF uploaded to the website, and then you work at the sales pitch on that data, you will totally forget to upload it to the website. And that's the reason why we believe that their ownCloud and Typo 3 is as nice as it could be, because when we built something like this like 5 to 8 years ago, we had a client where we built up the website where all the content is on, and we built up a closed website for just the salesmen so that they can get their data from there. And that is something that you not need anymore, because you can use this ownCloud, you can give the salesman directly the ownCloud access, they can work with the documents and they can download it there, and they will always have the actual PDF. But on the other hand, the PDF on the Typo 3 website will be the correct as well.
Okay, thanks. So we wanted to talk a bit about, okay, how we deal with big data, big files. There, of course, there's more than just this single topic here, but I picked this as an example. So, for example, downloading big files, well, this is pretty good handled with current web server technologies, so you can download gigabytes of files. This will work out, so even resuming download, this is all working pretty fine. On upload, the story is a little bit different. There are also even limitations. So, for example, uploading file via the web server, yeah, you have to tweak it. There are maximum sizes you have to take care about. It's a mess. And even if the upload breaks apart on, I don't know, 4.9 gigabytes or 5 gigabytes, yeah, you're doomed. So, yeah, there are other technologies out there like Resumable.js has some solutions in this area, but we also needed a protocol on our side, which is also working out for our desktop client, who is heavily doing the synchronization part of upload and download. And this is where we come up with the concept of this file chunked upload. So, as I said, basically what we do is, if you have a big file, let's say 5 gigabytes need to be uploaded, we simply slice it down into chunks of, let's say, 20 megabytes and push them one after the other. On the server side, we collect all the individual chunks and then we reassemble it back again. Well, pretty simple. The solution overall also allows us to have different sizes of these chunks, which, depending on the client, can even be adoptable throughout the time the client is working. So if you switch the network and the client detects, oh, well, the quality is not that great, it will reduce the chunk size. If there will be a better network, okay, we can do bigger chunks then. So for example, in the very first days we had a fixed size of, I don't know what it was, 4 megabytes or something. And in the big network, getting back to CERN again, they say, well, this does not perform, you know, it's never using really the full network. What's wrong? Yeah, well, it's uploading 4 megabytes and then drops again. 4 megabyte drops again. So they could use bigger chunks. So back in the old days, it was hard-coded. Okay, now we can adopt it. So we also are capable to adopt to the overall network capabilities. Now, from a pure technical point of view, how does this work out? As I said, everything what we do is WebDAV, so even the chunking algorithm which we implement is using the WebDAV mechanisms, the WebDAV concepts. So, how does it work? Basically, to initialize the upload of a big file with its individual chunks, all what we do is make collection. This is the WebDAV HTTP verb for creating a directory. We have a special collection which is called uploads, and underneath we have the user ID. So in this case, this is my own upload area, and this random number there, it's a generated number from the client side which is identifying this upload. After that, the client will put up each individual chunk into that folder just in a random sequence, so it can do it in whatever sequence you want to have. So especially the clients also do multiple chunks in parallel as well. And as you can see, based on the index of this individual files, this is of course declaring the order of how the chunks should be reassembled at the end. So once all chunks are there, there is one final move operation where the file is then pushed to the final destination. So in this case, it's moving this file to my private files. So within files, there are also all my files listed. Again, the user, which is me in this case, and there's a subfolder which was 3tcon and then slides PDF. Yeah, so the server all by itself has no understanding of the chunk size itself, so this is necessary to have this flexibility on the client side. And yeah, this is basically how it works. Yeah, one way of how we deal with big files overall. No, too fast. Okay, last but not least, what I wanted to quickly talk about, as Fabian said, we also touched this area to some extent yesterday in the workshop. So as of today, ownCloud has what we call the App Store, where open source extensions to the ownCloud world can be uploaded and then distributed to all the ownCloud installations out there. We are currently in the process of leveraging this to a real marketplace, which also would allow partners or individual developers to even sell additional applications which we can plug into ownCloud. So we plan to have this, by the mid of next year. In addition to selling applications, there will also be platforms for selling services, offering services around the ownCloud world. And there are a lot of similarities on what is planned or what is in the idea of the concept of the 3 place. And let's see where we might have a collaboration on that. I had a quick chat with Matthias yesterday, so let's see what will come up there. I guess that's it then. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. So we hope you get a short insight about what's happening with ownCloud and how they handle their data. Are there any questions? Yeah, maybe somebody with a microphone will come or not? Or maybe you try it just that? That actually we might discuss later on with a technical guy, because I'm the marketing guy. That's my problem. I can just say we put it somewhere there. Sorry.
But it works already, or is it just planned?
No, what we already made is to put the data from ownCloud to the Typo 3 and upload it there. And what we already built is to build up a form with a form formula where you get on the one hand a ticket out of it, and on the other hand an upload to ownCloud. Okay, if that was it, then I would say thank you and see you after the coffee break, I think.
Isn't it lunch?
Lunch, okay, after the lunch. Thank you.
Thank you.